There are Ambazonian leaders who are suffering from mental problems. When you see Chris Anu coming out and say that he is the president of Ambazonia, he opened an embassy. How many visa do you think he expects to issue visa? Maybe in his imagination, he's the president of a country. But every Ambazonian who is in ground zero, who is suffering through this issue, they know that we are still suffering. We are still under Cameroon. When you go out, they ask you, where are you coming from? You start babbling with what? We must go back to the reality. Ambazonia is not yet a country. It is an aspiration only. People who take it as a reality are mad people. You cannot. There is no way you ever negotiate, you ever find a solution with the people, with the organization that we have in the struggle. And if the Cameroon government continues to insist that there are some few people who are going to object, then they are just looking for excuse to continue the war. Because we are the voice of the people. We have put out videos of our refugees expressing themselves, elected refugee leaders, traditional leaders who have said that we want one country, two people, we want to go back home. Our political prisoners want release, but they don't want release under shame. They want the Cameroon government to also accept that, okay, they have made a mistake. These people were fighting for something that was right. They went too far, but they also went too far. They pushed them to go too far. So our political prisoners want to also come under this platform to accept that they have seceded from hostility. They are willing to pursue advocacy through peaceful means, but the ball is not in our hands. We can only go as far as extend this peace plan. It depends on Pobia if you will receive it or not. But this time we are also engaging the international community. We are launching a massive campaign to reach out to the international community, to other African leaders, former African presidents, and to tell them that endorse this vision for Cameroon, our vision of one country, two systems. And to the Cameroon people, the Francophone, I am telling them that I have a dream that one day Anglophones and Francophones will work together like two people in one country, holding hands together, be a pride of Africa. And we will respond to the critics in Ivory Coast who are making a mockery of Cameroon. Then look at you people, you are fighting each other, killing Anglophones every day.
Yeah, but
let us talk
Capo Daniel, when you say you have a dream that one day Anglophones and Francophones are going to work as one person, are they not working together? Thousands of Anglophones are living happily in Douala. So many of them are in Yaoundé, they have gotten married. Some are in Bafoussam. A very good number of them are living happily with Francophones. What is that not already the dream that is being realized?
No, those people who are living in Yaoundé cannot go back to their villages. Now Anglophones do not celebrate their cultural festival anymore, even in Yaoundé or Douala. They are moving now even to the diaspora. We saw in South Africa the other day one of the biggest celebrations of the Manu culture, which we are very proud of. We saw also the Bapere people here in Edmonton in Canada celebrating their traditional culture. More and more we are seeing traditional rulers leaving their palaces to go and erect palaces in Yaoundé and Douala. The fond of Banso, the biggest fondom in the English-speaking part, is no longer resident in his village for the past 3 years. So in reality, we want to live with Francophones, but every Anglophone knows that there is war in their village. He cannot go back in their home. Why? Because there is this clash where our people do not feel that they are part of this country. So there is no harmony amongst us. Even when I meet my Francophone friends now, we want to talk, they are looking at me. The elephant in the room is this war. We must remove this war of shame. Even Francophones who are working in Yaoundé, they are being, every time the elephant in the room is that there is something in the air that is smelling, which is this war. Nobody likes it. So if you say that we are already enjoying the one Cameroon now, my brother, you are living in another war. I can assure you that in the streets of of Yaoundé, the people don't want this war. In Douala, the people don't want this war. It is a shame. All the musicians, they always come out and they say, stop this war, end the conflict. This is a shame. This war, Pobia can stop this war, as you said, if he wants to solve this problem. We have offered the problem of the Cameroon because we have engaged them in direct negotiation. We engaged them through the mediation in Canada. We know what they have insisted. They have insisted that they want to maintain one Cameroon. They have also backed down from their initial claim that the Southern Cameroon was part of their territory that was lost to Nigeria, and the Northern Cameroon was lost, and they are mourning, so they want to incorporate us inside the country. President Paul Biya went to France and said that they have tried to assimilate us. It did not work. So if they have acknowledged these things, we are also saying that, yes, this is true. This is why we are dying. This is why we are fighting, because we don't want to be assimilated. We are fighting and dying because we want our history to be told as it is, that we were a separate country, equal in status like the French-speaking part of Cameroon. But we have come together to form this one country. It does not belong to the French Cameroon. Cameroon does not belong to former French Cameroon. Neither does Cameroon belong to the former British Southern Cameroon. It belongs to the two entities. Let us reflect this in the Constitution. Because in that Constitution, when you look at the Constitution, what is the definition of Cameroon? Why should we be having birth certificate in Bamenda, produced only in English? Then you have birth certificate in Yaoundé, produced only in French. Then yet they say that the country should be bilingual. So we should just go back to basic and learn from other civilizations. We can learn from the Belgian people. We can learn even from the British people or Canada, where we can live as one country, two people, and we function with harmony. So they have accepted this reality, but they are still playing games. They should stop it. Paul Biya should not allow the ego of some individuals who are reflecting on him to be above Cameroonians' life. Francophones are dying. For the most part, they are not Bulu Beti people who are dying. It is the children of poor Francophones that are sent to go and fight in Ambazonia.
Okay,
is not a good thing for us. We don't fight this war with pride. We fight this war with shame. When we go out to ask our boys to carry arms, we carry them with shame. And today I've come to extend a peace plan that involves a devolution of power from the Constitution.
Have you told those who are fighting to down their guns expressly?
I am the most credible Ambazonian activist who have built the capacity. I'm responsible for pushing our narrative internationally for 70%. I have fought from the beginning in Manu under the Tigers of Ambazonia. I am one of the founders of the IG group. I have served as the Deputy Defense Chief. I have fought as the anti-kidnapping czar. I am the most credible Ambazonian activist, and according to Google, I am the most watched Ambazonian leader. I have the biggest network that reflects to our people. You have seen my organization on the ground expressing the rights of the wishes of the refugees to come back home. Please, let us focus on the facts. Like Dr. Nick have said, there are always going to be people who are Shandai. There are people who are going to end up like the Lord Resistance Army that are going to be isolated by our population. We have seen our population fighting against the ADF of Ayabachu. We have seen him being rejected by people. We do not accept extremism. Neither do we accept assimilation. There should be a middle ground. Today, my organization have come out with a leading voice to set a stage and to extend a peace plan. The focus should be, this is the right thing everybody should rally about, and let us forget and isolate extremists. There will be extremists on both sides forever. We cannot use it as an excuse to let our people be trapped in an ideology held and masterminded by people who are fighting for economic interests. But we should put their interests first and hear their voice. My voice is the people's voice. My voice is the voice of the refugees, the political prisoners who want to be released, the diaspora who wants to return home, and all Anglophones who want to preserve their identity and the Bajura and real bilingualism in Cameroon.
Okay.
We are the majority. We should be listened
Dr.
to and
Nick,
taken.
Dr. Nick, okay, but before I get back to Dr. Nick, you saw one of the fighters, the leading fighters in Gokotunja was taken down yesterday. I'm sure you got the video, and others who have been killed this last weeks. Are you touched, and how do you feel when you see children, brothers, fathers being killed like that?
It's a very sad thing to watch those images, and it is sad in two levels. One is that the French Cameroon army trained the Cameroon army to do this type of thing to the Maquisards, the Bassas and Bamileke who were fighting for independence after independence was declared in Cameroon. They did those type of beheading and this type of treatment, and we don't expect that a trained military people should be desecrating the bodies of people in this manner. It is very sad. And on the second level, these are all avoidable deaths. the Cameroon government came to Canada and we explore cessation of hostilities and ceasefire, where the Cameroon government, in principle, accepts to withdraw its forces from its forward operating bases and stop all offensive operation in the territory. We can build on that. Yes, the negotiation failed, and all hope shouldn't be lost. We can still secede from hostilities. There have been indications on the ground and some flexibility from the side of the Cameroon government and their military. For example, when Big Number was killed, we appealed directly to the Cameroon government through third parties, and they initially returned the dead body of Big Number General Ipang to his family. And unfortunately, the radicals fought that he should not be handed to his family and intimidated the family, and his body was brought to the street in Gozang. So we must recognize and encourage such goodwill from the Cameroon government, which exhibited it in that type of manner, even though it's very bad.
Capo Daniel, you speak like what these guys are doing has been nice. We know that Sagon, who was killed in Ngokutunja, has been blocking that road. When you block roads for 2-3 weeks, for a month, how do you want people to survive?
The issue is that this struggle, we have a legitimate grievance, but the reaction, the breakdown on how we execute this struggle have been problematic in terms of the military front. Soldiers are dispersed and are acting on their own. The group of Saigon who work under Sako Ikome, they excessively blocked the road and they came under pressure from us. I publicly condemned the blocking of that road by Saigon. I spoke to him and I asked them to reopen the road, which they made a video to publicly reopen that road. So out of anger, sometimes people make mistakes. But his motivation have always been to fight for the right of Anglophones. Okay. He picked up weapons for that purposes. And in his own, in illiteracy, when a war starts like this, people act sometimes even without thinking. And you sometimes even hurt your own people along the way. But the good thing with Saigon is that every time I approach him, I tell him, look, my brother, this thing you are doing is hurting our people more. He stops it. Okay. And even when, so we acknowledge that there have been mistakes that have been made by these boys, but these mistakes are paled compared to the one that were made by the Cameroon government. You look like the case on Garbu where they killed our people. They came out, officials were lying about it. It fails to them, and the Cameroon government has been
Please, Dr. Nick, when you look at what is happening on ground today, do you have the sense that people are fighting for something?
That's what I was saying, that initially it was very clear what people were fighting for, and then just like Peter Magnon, Peter King's Magnon said, when the phenomenon of dogs of war sets in, when the economics of war sets in, when people use the gun and taste of power and can have control over people, it becomes very difficult to know what is motivating A, B, or C from fighting. So you might have a whole front, but in that front, you would have different people in it with different motives. And that's where it becomes very, very tricky. And if you don't stop the war on time, then things become so complicated that everybody ends up being eaten by the monster we created. So it's very important that we stop this war right now before there's a spillover effect that we cannot handle. The economics of war is raging, and people have tasted of power, and they're using that power to cause more harm than good. And this is not only happening on one side, it's happening on both sides. So when we get to this situation, the earlier we stop the nonsense, the better.
Okay, so we are going to be wrapping up at this juncture. Thank you very much, Capo, for coming to talk to Cameroonians on your call for cessation of hostilities by the Ambazonian People's Rights Advocacy. In a communique that you say the peak of the rise of armed groups in the territory has come and gone without an advantage being taken. And you see, we have also not been able to translate international sympathy to our subjugation into recognition of Ambazonian independence declaration, and there are no longer any chances of independence recognition. We want to thank you for coming to Prime R.
You're welcome, Mr. Leonard. And I want to thank everybody and to say that we will continue to fight and advocate for self-determination and the preservation of the Anglophones' identity and the preservation of our statehood within the Constitution of Cameroon. We have denounced the violent means of this liberation movement because it's no longer viable. It is no longer attainable. The goal for absolute independence is no longer attainable. But the resistance will continue as long as the Cameroon government maintains its current posture. That is why we have extended the peace plan that calls for devolution of power to the Anglophone region and autonomy so that our people can be able to keep behind this injustice that the Cameroon government itself has recognized through their Grand National Dialogue. And we hope that the Cameroon government will have a positive response. We don't expect any public reaction from them because that is how our history has been with them. But we hope that the real work, we don't want publicity, we don't want popularity. This is not about us. We want that the head of state of Cameroon should have a rethink about his posture and seize this peace plan from my hand. And all Cameroonians, both Francophones and Anglophones, all political party and civil society and religious authorities should embrace this solution as the right solution and force the hand of the Cameroon government through political pressure, not military pressure anymore, for a negotiated settlement of this war. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, but I'm sure the president of the Republic some years back actually is the one who offered this peace plan to those who are fighting. Reason why former fighters are now found in the DDR center. Some of them are still there, others are walking free because of that action that was taken by the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya. Thank you for coming, Dr. Nick.
Well, thank you very much. Just before we leave, just to keep insisting that the Anglophone war is going to come to an end. There's going to be West Cameroon and East Cameroon, a president, vice president. There's going to be a capital in Numba, a capital in Ebebda for East Cameroon, and regional capitals in Balmayo and in Alo, not Boya, and administrators would be elected, not appointed. Enam and Nasla shall be closed. Besides, there will be a couple of other things, but you will get this. Thank you.
Dr. Nick, I keep asking, wonder what a political platform that is going to be achieved.
Let me say that stopping this Anglophone war is something that is on President Paul Biya's mind now more than anything else, and it is his legacy and it's the legacy of the Cardinal, and those legacies will be upheld. And once this war stops, we'll correct our educational system, which is already under correction now. We'll correct our economics. We would build industries and make sure that youths are trained massively to have skills. Industries will come in and then people would have jobs and so on. That is what is on the president's mind now. We'll have to start learning how to solve our own problems because we've made huge mistakes.
We want to thank you all for watching. Thank you to this